Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of families that were locked down quarreled, and now, unfortunately, many are headed to divorce court. To talk about that today, family law partner and mediator Laura Roach, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I know you and your husband, Judge John Roach, you don't enjoy divorce, you don't enjoy doing that, but you want to make sure that people are getting through it in a way that doesn't destroy kids.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, keep families as intact as possible, even post-divorce. That's really what I try to do in my everyday practice, and I know John tries to do in his courtroom.
So you wrote a best-selling book a few years ago, Divorce and Peace, Alternatives to War from a Judge and Lawyer. Tell us about the book.
Well, we wrote it because my husband was coming home complaining about certain cases in his court and people wasting a lot of time and money in divorce and everything ending up the same. And I was coming home doing, litigation. I mean, I'm actually a divorce attorney. I make money off this stuff, right? But complaining about the same thing and going, I don't understand. We had to spend $50,000 to get to where I knew at $5,000 we were going to be, right? And so we were like, we need to come up with some way to educate people on how the best ways to get divorced, all the different ways you can get divorced. And so we wrote a book called How to Avoid the Texas-Sized Divorce. And it was, when I say wrote, that's very loosely, like it was on notepads and a little bit on the computer and back and forth. And then when I mediated a case that involved a very high-paid sports athlete and lots of money, I figured out real quick that you can type 10 million as fast as you can type 10,000. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something here. And this particular athlete's agent asked me, can you do something to educate all my other players, but you got to make it nationwide? And I'm like, well, I have a book called Texas-Sized Divorce. She's like, make it nationwide. So my husband and I sat for about 3-4 months and really pounded out the book and called it Divorce and Peace. So that's really how it evolved into what it was. It was just an idea years ago, and then because of her pressure, I was like, okay, I'll get this done. So.
I love it. And as I was doing show prep for this show, I found a great video that you and your husband did. Let's roll that now.
Hi, I'm John Roach. With my wife Laura and I have been practicing law for a combined 40 years. We've seen and heard it all when it comes to the devastation and gut-wrenching emotional and financial effects caused by divorce for families, children, and friends.
Hi, I'm Laura Roach, and John and I met while in law school. Although we both said we would never marry a lawyer, we were married 3 years from the day we met. We then said we would never work together, but soon found ourselves opening our own law firm. We opened our own firm in 1999 and built it based on being honest with clients and helping clients make decisions based on their best interests rather than their emotions. Standing on those two principles, we were able to build a firm based primarily on referrals from existing clients and from clients on the other side of their cases. And here we are again, together, doing our best to help others.
Here's how we're uniquely qualified as divorce, family law, mediation, and child custody experts. My expertise comes from being elected as a Texas state judge in 2006 and presiding over more than 10,000 family law cases. I've also spent time in the classroom as an adjunct professor at Southern Methodist University, where I taught graduate students in the very areas of dispute resolution covered in our book. My wife Laura is a respected, well-known, and successful family law attorney in Dallas. She's mediated over more than 1,000 family law cases, from highly agreeable to very high conflict divorces, and has successfully utilized every dispute resolution discussed in this book.
Divorce and Peace has been 10 years in the making because in our hearts, John and I knew there was a better way to divorce and wanted to let everyone know what we knew, which is you can divorce in peace. The bottom line is we are deeply committed to revolutionizing the way couples approach and resolve issues arising from divorce.
As debut authors, Laura and I bring passion, quality writing, and expert credentials to the subject matter of how to divorce in peace.
Wow, I love that. And I think it's so important because often children who are the product of a divorce, all they remember is the war that their parents fought, and that can scar a child for the rest of their life, can it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just read an article the other day talking about brain development and how trauma can affect, your brain development. And as a kid, when you hear your parents fight, that is, and I'm not saying, obviously little arguments, it's good for them to learn conflict resolution and things like that, but like actual real bad dramatic fights, it can scar a child. So I always tell people, love your kids more than you hate your spouse. That's just something I always say. It is so important to me. I don't care if you think he's being immature or stupid or she's doing this or that. Love your kids more than you hate your spouse. Because when it comes down to it, all your kids really want is for mom and dad to get along. That's ultimately what they want. They don't want to take sides. They don't want to be in the middle. They just want mom and dad to get along.
So when you sit down with a client, are you convincing them to take their sword and put it away?
Yeah, usually. And sometimes people, they don't like that, and I'm fine with it. I'll tell them, go hire somebody else. But really when it comes down, I'll have clients come in, a lot of times they haven't tried hard enough at marriage. I do think people give up on marriage too easily. Yeah. And so I do definitely encourage reconciliation. I encourage people not to get divorced. When I hear things of either family violence, which with COVID, by the way, is up 12%, and that is a small number. I know it's up more than that, but that's what they're reporting. All the shelters and stuff are reporting.
Yes.
But when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'll look at a client and go, "You need to get divorced. You need to get divorced right now. Let's do this, and this is what we're going to do." But when it's just the normal, like, okay, listen, I've been married 21 years. I get it. Like my husband does that too, or my wife does that too, or whatever. I'll tell them, let's really try to work at this, because what I don't want to happen is a client to come back to me later on and go, my attorney pushed me into divorce. I never want that to be me. It is their decision. It is their life. I don't want to be part of that. I just want to, if they decide to get divorced, I want to help them get through it.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, well, you are wonderful. We're going to go ahead and put your website up. Give us the domain name.
It's McCathernlaw.com, and then on Facebook you can find it McCathern Family Law. So.
Outstanding. Thank you.
All
Laura,
right,
thank you for coming on the show. You were wonderful.
Thank you so much.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.